Hey everybody, Andrea Waddell here. Today I'm going to show you how to paint loose, expressive florals that have both structure and freedom. So you've got precision and enough looseness to keep it abstracted. I started with a fluorescent base and you've got a neutral gray on top, and I'm choosing some fluorescent colors. I'm grabbing things that attract me, but it's a combination of grab and knowledge. I cover a lot of that topic in my online course, The Skilled Colorist. This is a fluorescent magenta. It's a fluorescent violet, a new color from golden. Beautiful and fun when you mix it with things. And I'm stimulated by this image, the blues, the purples, the drama of it. So I've got a couple images on my table, and I'm using those to jumpstart my color choices. I'm using a heavy body acrylic. I can never pronounce the name of that one. And starting with just a colored pencil, pulling some lines in, very improvisational. I'm working with 3 or 4 reference images, and they're all spread out on my table. And when I need something precise, like the turn of a petal or the structure of a leaf or a floral, I use a reference book or I use images, things that I find beautiful and elegant, and I pull from that. But I keep it loose. By not having one image, it allows me to really improvise. So every move I make, I try to make it count. In this painting, I don't cover things up endlessly, like try something, then take it out, try it again. Because when you do that, the painting starts to lose its freshness. So each mark, I'm trying to make it with intention, trying to draw with the brush. And the softer the brush, the better. So you can really see what the brush can do for you when you hold it in different ways. Very soft. It's kind of a cheap brush. It's one of those basic ones, but it's soft. When I'm looking for brushes, I'm looking for very soft ones. And try all of the different ways that you can just move that brush around on the surface. So throughout the whole painting, I'm leaving negative space. So for this one, I looked at these images to just give myself a sense of shape and shadow and sort of looking at them. But then I release the image pretty quickly. I don't stare at it for too long. I glance at them. But most of the time, again, I'm really just improvising. Here I'm trying to get it to drip, and it won't. And I like to improvise a lot like this because I want it to feel discovered. Because that makes it fun for me, not copied. Yeah, this isn't cooperating. I wanted it to drip, but it won't. And throughout the painting, I'm leaving a lot of negative space. And that's what allows the shapes to breathe, and it gives the viewer, it gives the eye somewhere to rest and to jump from thing to thing. So it moves all around the surface. And it also keeps the painting from just kind of collapsing into a big wall of color. So I use a paper towel as a tool, putting down kind of shapes that I'm making up. And watch how I'm moving this brush. So this is just a Liquitex Basic, and I'm just pressing down, lifting. So that's really part of the most important thing about abstracting the floral is the brushwork. Is some of it is really loose and not quite finished, and some of it is precise. And that's from just moving that brush around like a dance. This one I found a thing. I pulled and then moved back. Pulled and moved back, and it made a fun flower-like shape. I'm adding some lighter values with that same brush. This is all acrylic, so it dries. Look at that image again to give me a sense of shadow and light. Now I'm going to come in with some leaf-like shapes. And you can see I'm just kind of distributing them. That's the abstraction part, where I want. And I look at this image just to get a sense of blocks of shape, but then not copying, just using it lightly to jumpstart ideas. Holding that brush really loosely, barely dragging it. I like doing these little dots, so I'm really kind of deliberately here looking for warm areas at the bottom of the painting, kind of like in a landscape. It's going to pull us forward. Brighter areas at the bottom, warmer at the bottom. Gives it harmony. And watch what happens now when I start introducing darker values, especially in the leaves, and I'm finding shadows. This is really often a turning point for a painting. If something isn't working for you, try bringing in a single dark note, just one, and see what it does. Sometimes it's a tiny shift in contrast that can suddenly make the whole piece start to come alive, like it's starting to happen right here. So the goal in the whole painting, it's really not perfection, it's harmony. I'm not trying to finish every shape or describe every flower. I want the viewer to feel like they've caught this bouquet mid-breath, before it settles. And there's that beautiful blue, and it makes a nice semi-opaque color. Little neutral. Trying to bring that flower up because it's starting to hit at the midpoint. So I'm making some little micro corrections. But really the balance here is between looseness and precision. And that's something I return to again and again in my workshops and the retreats that I run, and trying to find that sense of we recognize what the abstract is because there's enough precision, but there's enough looseness to keep you as a painter super engaged. You're trying to find that balance. You're looking for that creative balance. So I'm bringing in a big shadow down here. I'm using my paper towel because I went too far with that. I always have a paper towel handy here. Bringing back the colored pencils. Using that reference photo to kind of give me a sense of those stems and shapes, back to tight precision, letting the paintbrush create the shape by just pressing on it in different ways. This was a bit too much of an empty space here, and I didn't want it to take away from the centerpiece flower, so it's just a very neutral toned, sort of florally like shape. I like making dots. I think it's fun. Polka dots. Polka dots on top of shapes gives it a lot of texture. I've brightened up the bottom there with that yellow. Yellow benzazolone. I can never pronounce it. I like it because it's a very warm yellow. Look at how beautiful that warm yellow reads next to some of those darker shapes. That's how you're going to get some luminosity, is by having that contrast. And cool and warm is giving it another contrast. So now I'm just using the brush again. Here's another example of this. Looking at one of those images and just turning the brush ever so slightly to find interesting shapes. And there it is, the finished piece. So I hope you got something from watching that video and you give that a try. And of course, if you have any questions and you put those in the comments below the video, I will answer them. I answer every single question that pops up. Meanwhile, I am going to do my very, very, very best to get regular content out to you every couple of weeks. Okay, I'll see you next time. Bye.